Hey folks, this is gonna be a new video about the way I edit my photos. It's not gonna be extensive kind of video about the way I do things. It's just more like my first few steps when it comes with the editing. I really didn't want to make this video because I feel like my editing is not really a big thing. I'm a truly believer that the good photos are made in camera. So. But still, I'm going to present you some examples of the way I edit, my tips and so on. I'm going to go through 5 or 6 photos. I'm going to try to keep it short, concise and precise. I'm going to be using Capture One. This is a program I've been using since 2018 because back then it was the best program that handled, Fujifilm files. But nowadays I think also Lightroom does a good job, but I'm just used to this, it's the only way I've been doing it for a while. So this is an image that I took recently. By the way, this image is underexposed a lot, more than I would love to. But luckily, digital sensors can keep a lot of information. If I did this, on film, the photo would be gone. So I'm trying to be more careful with my exposure when I shoot on film, but when I shoot in digital, 1, 2 stops, even 3 or more, you can still save a photo, especially if you underexpose. If you overexpose, the highlights are gonna be blown and you're gonna have a really hard time recovering all that information. So I'm gonna go first, selecting here. I want to see first what's going on here, so I'm gonna create a layer. I'm gonna call it exposure, and I'm gonna raise exposure. I think it's about 1.5 to stops. Oh yeah, it's super underexposed. So I'm raising exposure till the point it doesn't break. Like if I go like this, so sorry, 2 stops, it still handle it. If I turn on the exposure warning, no, like the skin tones are not clipping, but the photo started losing the mood. It was like very dim light, so I rather to keep it around here and edit from this point on. I'm gonna go back to background layer. I'm gonna choose my basically the profile. So on Fujifilm you have all these profiles that you can see also on Capture One. This is taken with an X Pro 2, so I don't have available all the new profiles like classic negative or nostalgic neg, but still I have Provia, my favorite one. Provia is the standard profile, does a really good job. Also Astia, when there's not much blue in the scene, not much sky, Astia also does a really good job, especially on the skin tones. I love the way skin tones look with Astia. Yeah, then Velvia sometimes is also nice, but I don't know, it looks sometimes a little bit too saturated, or especially too saturated on the skin tones. But I'm gonna go for Provia. It's already good. I'm gonna turn off the exposure warning, and now I'm gonna start like raising the exposure a little bit, but I'm gonna create an anchor point on there. So I select this on the right side, where there is the Luma curve, and then I do the clip here. So this skin tones is here, and then I'm gonna raise exposure a little bit based on that. But now to start adding contrast, but I'm gonna have this as an anchor point, so whatever I do in the Luma curve is not gonna affect so much the skin tone and really pick the point. It's gonna be more like an anchor point. So I'm gonna add another anchor point here, and this is skin tone here in the dark area here. So now when I pick the curve and add contrast, it's gonna keep this skin tone and that skin tone over there like pretty much untouched. It's gonna protect them. So if you see now, I'm adding contrast by the skin tone here, and the skin tone there is protected. So adding contrast without like touching that. So I just want to add a little bit of contrast. So it went from that to that already. Maybe I'm gonna raise this a little bit more and take care of the highlights a bit. And that would be probably my exposure. Maybe I went too far with the contrast. We'll dial it down, or maybe I'm just gonna use the black here slider here, a couple, you know, numbers here too. It's doing the job, because I don't want this to lose the mood. Actually, now I'm thinking maybe I should now lower the exposure a little bit to keep the mood, you know. I think this is better, you know. So now I'm gonna start adding, I'm gonna do my classical dodge and burn. So the burn is gonna be darker, 1.5 step, very roughly. Then exposure is gonna be 1.5, you know, here in dodge. So when I burn, it's gonna basically be darker, and when I dodge, it's gonna be brighter. So now I'm gonna need to think what I want to make it darker. So I don't just go like there and play. I try to have an idea of what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna switch this, and I want to have less dynamic range between the woman and the woman's on the back. So I'm gonna actually darker, and I want also the woman on the right pop a little bit more. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just darken a little bit behind her, and especially I'm gonna dodge the dress, because I want this purple color to look more intense. So by reducing its I went too far. By reducing its exposure, I'm making it also look more intense, you know. So if I see burn, it's looking good. Maybe I went too far. Opacity a little bit less. Yeah, that looks good. Here on the figure, maybe here on the back, and now I turn off and on. That's it. That's all what I needed. Maybe also a little bit on the arm here, it's very bright. And that's it. Now dodge. This is a little bit more important. So I want to raise exposure a little bit on the women without losing the mood again. Yeah, but especially here, there is an area around here that I want to focus on. That is this area here. I want to recover some of the info here. It's like what's called like a painting, or like picture. But I'm gonna recover a tiny little bit there, in the woman there, especially on the face, on the arms, on what she's grabbing, and so on. Now you see, up. So I always try to keep my editing soft. I don't want to go way too far with my editing, because I want things to look natural, and also try to make everything work pretty much in camera. So for me, the less editing, the best. And now the last would be adding some clarity. So I'm gonna actually fill this layer and gonna add the clarity to the whole image, just to see how it affects the entire image. So, and I can see where is good to add the clarity. So I see the clarity would be good, you know, in the textures, in the wall, but especially in the background here, the dress, maybe a little bit on the tattoo, making it pop. But globally, it's too much. So I'm gonna now clear this mask, and now I'm gonna add this clarity, but just like locally. I'm gonna add here around the dress here, this woman, that's a nice texture. This texture here is also nice. The arm, make the women pop a little bit, you know. But I'm going super roughly. You don't see, I'm not like going crazy, masking everything. Because the more you go like you mask things, the things tend to look unnatural. Maybe a little bit, you know, on the small details here and the background, to make them pop a little bit. You know, there's a nice texture in the wall now, I see. So now I'm using clarity just to highlight details, you know. So that's it. It's very subtle, maybe you don't see it, but it's there. So, and the last layer I'm gonna add is gonna be my style. So this is already, this style kind of layer is gonna be where I add more the look I want with this image. I try to keep things natural, but also I try to always add a little bit my special sauce that I'm gonna show you now. So I especially wear the colors in the curve section. So I have the red curve, the green, the blue. In the blue curve, if I go to one side, I add blue, to the side I add yellow. So then in the green, to one side is green, to the one is magenta. In the red, to one side is red, to the other side is cyan. So I always love, I do an anchor point on the red because I don't want more red, but I just like add a little bit of cyan in the dark tones. I love that look. Then on the green, I always add a little bit of green, but globally. A little bit of green globally. In blue also I tend to add blue because I love photos with a more cooler look. So if I turn that on and off, you can see it's very soft, but it's there. And now I go to the color balance. I want to crush the blacks a little bit. That's it. And probably add some more blue on the or maybe actually no, I'm gonna add a little bit of purple to the dark areas, to the shadows. The midtones, I'm gonna raise the midtones. I like what it does. And then I'm gonna add probably blue or bluish to green. Yeah, a little bit. And then in the highlights, I'm just gonna tame them down a little bit. I'm gonna turn, yeah, they still, the highlights I can clip, by the way. So, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of warmth in the lights. So if I go back and forth, this is without my styling, now it's with the styling. Then I go just to the background layer, and the last thing that I adjust is the levels, just to check my levels. It's pretty good, I think. And that's the way. So now I'm gonna turn on and off every layer to see, so that you can see what I did with every layer till the photo without editing. So style, clarity. I'm actually gonna zoom in so that you can see it better maybe. So style, clarity, dodge, burn, exposure, gone. And that's it. That was the original raw file, and this is what it is with all my editing. I'm gonna go with before and after. So that's the first image. So you see, like, I don't know, I took like probably more time than I usually take because I'm showing you, but I usually try to keep it very, short. I don't like to spend more than 5 minutes per image. So now I'm going to an image that is different, maybe this one, also taken in Napoli some days ago. So again, I think selecting this one is, the exposure is fine. For this image, I already know what I like. It's gonna be Velvia. Velvia really does a really great job with this image. And now I'm gonna go to the background and do the same. Exposure, dodge, burn, clarity, then style. So I see this figure, and actually this person, I don't really care about the details on his skin. I really want more the silhouette. I want the silhouette of his face to be clear, and the details there for me don't really matter. I'm gonna do a little dot here, a little anchor point on the head of a man, and this is gonna be I'm gonna dark things using this as anchor point. And now I need to recover the rest, so I'm gonna probably go closer, and this is pretty good. I'm gonna protect the highlights, and I can go even further, another dot here to create more contrast, especially looking the window, because I want the details, in the window to like pop. So if you see that it's popping, but I don't want the highlights to go too far. So that's it. So you see the exposure, which probably is more about contrast. So in the exposure, I do both contrast and exposure. So now dodge. Actually, I don't see much for dodging in this image. I would say I'm just gonna do here a little bit to make the silhouette pop a little bit more. That's it. I think it's enough. And now I'm gonna burn a lot of things. I'm gonna burn especially the texture here, the background over here. Went too far. Around here, very roughly. You see, like I'm not really masking much, going rough. I want this to go dark so it can create more contrast with the man. So with the main subject that is actually the man, but also the texture all over the texture you find all over the place. That's enough. Now clarity. Of course, you know, I want to add clarity in the windows. Recover like this dust, this dirty window here, and especially also this color, you know, graffiti. I go like this. You can always, you know, amend the flow to make it fast, but I like it to make it slower. So I go like this, like this, up, especially in these details. Okay, that's enough. Now I'm gonna turn that thing on and off. Clarity, you see like the details are popping, so I'm not just adding clarity to the whole image, I'm always adding clarity where I wanna highlight details or make things pop a little bit, you know, do this pop kind of thing. So I don't go clarity on the whole image unless the image is very flat, but usually I try to keep my clarity, you know, localized in the areas I really want to highlight detail. And now I'm just like, I'm leaving one more style. This is pretty good from the get-go. I think I'm just gonna go my typical, you know, anchor point here, and then add a little bit cyan, green globally, just a tiny bit, because this image is already greenish, so just a tiny bit. And the blue, probably I'm gonna touch it. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow globally. It's going well. So style, you see this up, it's doing well. It's just, I'm actually emphasizing what's already there. I'm not trying to create a whole new color palette. I'm just trying to emphasize what really caught my eye, what I think is there already. And then I go to the color. I'm gonna just go like little color balance. I'm gonna crush the blacks a little bit. And then the midtones, as always, I like the little pop in the midtones. Then the highlights are reduced. So on the shadows, I don't think I need any color to add. Maybe accentuate more this greenish quality, like so. Yeah, midtones. I don't think I need to add anything on the midtones. Maybe a little bit green to keep pushing, you know, this idea, this color palette. And then the highlights, I might actually go towards purple to create a little bit of color contrast. Yeah, between the green and the purple. So you see up, I think this looks very good to my eye. And I'm actually gonna add some clarity globally too. And then check my levels. Yeah, usually automatically does a good job, but here it's like losing the mood, you see? If I go like this, it's better. It's a natural image, but now it loses a little bit the mood. But I like what it does on the dark areas, but not in the highlights. So I'm gonna go back, dial it down a bit, and also dial it down here. So again, so now I'm gonna go again layer by layer, so you can see what every layer did to the image. So style, clarity. Again, I'm gonna do like a zoom in. So style, clarity, burn, dodge, exposure, and that's it. Go back again. So And now I'm gonna do a like before and after. So I almost lose all the detail in the face of the man, but I don't care. It was never the point of this image. So for me, the most important thing in this image was the silhouette of the man and the textures around. It doesn't matter who the person is for real in this image, but I like what he's wearing, the t-shirt, and yeah. So every step is done to kind of highlight details or emphasize the image, but not going too far. You know, everything was done pretty much in camera, so keep it simple. Everything done in camera. I'm gonna go for like a more contrasty image, like this one. So let's see. I'm gonna turn on the exposure warning because it looks like it's blown. So exposure, burn, clarity, and style. So for this image, first I'm gonna select, you know, the profile is gonna be Provia for this one. I think that's already a good job. Or maybe I can go for something more muted, classic chrome or something like that, because the colors are not really important in this image, but I'm gonna still go for Provia. And actually Provia already did a great job recovering the information, the highlights. It was before it was all blown out, so, but I still wanna recover further. The exposure, I'm gonna go a little bit crazy with the whites and highlights because I want detail here. Anyway, so I'm gonna start adding contrast, and I'm gonna pick the brightest skin point. I'm gonna go around here. That looks very bright. The back of the woman. This also face here looks very bright. So I'm gonna do like a point here. Yeah, this looks super bright. I mean, let me check on the woman back. Yeah, it's pretty much in the same place. So I'm gonna raise the exposure and see when it breaks. Oh, it breaks right away. You see the red coming out up. As soon as I raised, it's breaking. So this is gone. It's white, pure white. Usually I'm okay with having, you know, pure white in some areas of the image, but not in the skin tones. I like to always preserve my skin tones well. So I'm usually fine clipping stuff in the image, but if there are highlights, but if it's what's clipping is skin tone, really, like, I don't like the look of it, and because it looks like watsy, I don't know, it's not pleasant look for me. So I will go here for not touching that, but I'm gonna still add contrast, so I still add another anchor point around here. Yeah, I think that's a good job. I want not that dark in the midtones. That's it. Dodge, I definitely gonna dodge here. The sky a little bit. There's not much to dodge here. Like this man, the silhouette, emphasize a little bit this man here. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna burn this area here to see if I can recover some info, but especially here on top. I want this to be more dramatic, these areas here, and also recover a little bit in the back of the head of the man, but especially this here, I find it super dramatic, super beautiful to see. And also emphasize these arcs, like so. Okay, that's looking good. So you see the burn? I think this did a lot of, and also I think in this mid part of the frame, some burn would do a good job. Yep, it does. So now clarity. I'm gonna add clarity in the pillars. I want the pillars to be more crunchy, to have more detail, and also the floor here. Yeah, I'm gonna keep adding, you know, my typical, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow to this image, do my typical, keep the red here, and maybe add a little bit of cyan, and the green to the whole image. And now what I'm gonna play is with here the color balance, the midtones and the highlights. So in the shadows I'm gonna add blue. And in the midtones I'm gonna add the complementary to blue, it's gonna be yellow. And in the highlights, let me check what I wanna add. Actually, yeah, this looks good. This kind of bluish purple looks nice. And that's it, but just a tiny bit. Now I'm gonna actually add clarity to the whole image because it looks still too soft to my eye. Actually I added a lot of clarity, maybe more contrast, and that's it. That's it. I'm gonna check the exposure warning. The skin tones here still clipping. I'm gonna see if I can fix, just by reducing the highlights a bit, highlight a bit more. Maybe I just can crush them up. The style, maybe gonna add it a little bit of purple and affect it up. That's it. Yeah, that's it. The midtones. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of more contrast in this area here. Oh, no. I'm gonna invert this mask. I'm gonna add contrast here and raise the exposure. Oh, yeah, I think, yeah, I want more detail there. Yeah, so again, this is a simple image. A lot of contrast, could have been also like a black and white image. Didn't spend more than, I think I did a lot here, more than I usually do, just for the sake of showing. I think the burning, I went a little bit too far maybe, and I'm gonna tame it down with the opacity, go back to 60. That's it. So, final image. And go for exposure, burn, dodge, and clarity, it's quite dark, and then my style. So for this one, I'm gonna just first working and recovering the more detail. If I turn off exposure warning, everything is a little bit too dim for my liking. I want to keep the mood, but I want to raise the exposure. But I'm gonna raise the exposure based on the skin tone of the woman here. Actually, she's on the cheek, on the right cheek. I'm gonna place my first dot, and that's it. That's my anchor point. So I'm raising the exposure, but this is the pivotal point of what I'm doing is this skin tone. So I'm raising now the exposure, and this is good. I'm gonna keep more the mood, yes. And now I'm gonna add maybe a little bit of contrast, just a tiny bit. In the spot, maybe I'm gonna raise out the highlights, yeah, like so. So it went from that to that already. Burn. What areas I would love darker? I don't think any would do. So maybe here and with this shadow. But honestly, I don't think that much areas need to be darkened. But raising the exposure, definitely yes. So I want to recover details here on the floor a little bit. You see, the floor. This area behind the woman, maybe a little bit on the hair as well, so that you can see her hair, maybe more details there. She's got a nice hair. So raise exposure here on the chairs. This sign here on the wall, and just like so. Yeah. Now clarity mainly. I'm gonna add the clarity. I think here not many things need clarity. Maybe the wall, the arc on the background. I'm gonna add clarity here very quickly. And the chairs, the details here, the flat, the thing on the left corner. The man there, maybe a little bit on the face, but mainly on the hair, and so that's it. And now style, here I'm definitely gonna go for more a cooler look, so I'm gonna use more blue, add the blue to the mixture, and maybe green as well, a tiny bit, but a bit more like towards the dark areas. So I'm gonna do this. So it's and now, oh, not too far. Yeah, always with the curves you need to be very subtle. The point here and maybe cyan. Actually no, I think it wasn't me. Yeah, I like the look of this. And now I'm gonna go to the color balance. As always, I raise my midtones a little bit. Highlights, I reduce them. The shadows, I crush them a tiny little bit. In the shadows, I'm gonna add, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of purple, reddish. Yeah, that's, I think looks okay. And in the midtones, I'm definitely gonna add blue. And then the highlights, I'm also gonna add a little bit of blue. So also sometimes, and this is like more diving into what I do to make the colors the way I want, you have here the advanced color editor where I can pick a color and edit it in particular. You see the range, but you can also do it simply by going to the basic and pick the color. Let's say I'm picking the red here, and if I want to get this more like a filmic look, I love to get my reds more towards orange, but just a little bit, then the saturation down a tiny little bit, and then lightness up. And I think that that's a really nice job with the reds most of the time. But I go subtle. Then I'm gonna check the chairs as well. So actually I thought it was gonna be yellow and it's orange. So I'm gonna pick again, maybe around here. No, it's just orange. So I'm gonna actually reduce the saturation of this yellow and also increase the lightness. And here on the sky, I'm gonna add saturation. I want this blue to be more saturated and maybe a little bit more towards cyan, and reduce exposure a tiny little bit. So I'm gonna check my levels. Oh, nope, I don't like it too much. Lose the mood. Maybe I went too far. Yeah, I think that looks pretty alright. And I'm gonna add actually clarity to the entire image because it looks a little bit soft to my eye. That's it. So before and after, before and after. Maybe I lose a little bit too much the mood, so I'm gonna go back to the exposure area and just dilute the exposure using the exposure slider. I don't want to lose the mood. It's very moody, so I wanna edit it but not break it, you know. And that's it. And I'm gonna edit one more photo, and that's gonna be it. 5 photos because it's already been 30 minutes, more than 30 minutes. Fuck. So this one, and whenever I use Flash, I love the look of Velvia for some reason. Pap. This photo I wanna go a little bit with this photo. I'm gonna go a little bit further with my editing. I'm gonna do this exactly the same I usually do, but then in the styling part, I'm gonna try to go more in the file and break it. Not break it, but go a little bit more on the playful side. So I'm gonna go exposure, and then here I'm gonna do it simply. I'm not gonna do a dodge and burn. I'm just gonna do like a radial filter like this to accentuate the middle part where the girl is, and maybe like so. Maybe open it to make it more diffuse. Yeah. And then exposure, I'm gonna start adding the contrast. Again, the girl, I want this skin tone to be touched, And now I start adding fill mask up. See, start creating more the look, very gritty look, you know, before and after. And it's getting all the attention in the look of a girl. That's great. That's what I want to do. So whenever I'm editing, I always try to have, you know, some certain idea. I don't go crazy and moving sliders, you know. No, I always try to have a small plan, something, you know, like an idea of what I'm gonna do before I start like moving sliders. Because moving sliders crazily, it's not gonna improve the image, your image. So have a plan, start editing based on a little bit the idea you have. So again, exposure, you know, the gradient to get more emphasis on the girl. And now I'm gonna go directly to this style to show you. Here, the curves, I'm gonna go more playful with the curves. I wanna add more blue on the dark areas. And also I'm gonna add cyan, so I'm gonna go here with the red. Not so much crazy with the red, and now with the blue, with the add green. So it looks a lot, but then I can just dial the opacity and tame it down, so I can now dial it to the place I want to. So I'm creating my own preset just by playing with the curves a little bit and creating my own presets. You don't need to buy presets, please don't buy presets. So, and now just go to I'm gonna create another to make my styling, to do my color balance, sorry. And then I'm just gonna crush the blacks a bit, go my skin tones, but I'm gonna go with the midtones far. Yeah, and the highlights, I'm gonna see just a tiny bit, a tiny. So and the highlights I'm gonna add probably I want the highlights to compensate the whole thing. So it's green. I'm gonna add a little bit of magenta, purple. The midtones, I'm gonna insist on this purple thing, maybe more towards red, and then in the shadows again I'm gonna insist in the green bluish look. So before and after the first style, and now the color balance. Also I did a little bit too much. So I went from that image to this image very shortly. It didn't took me much time to edit the way I wanted. I wanted the image to look a little bit gritty, more like super contrasty. And in this case, you can go more crazy with the sliders and see what it does. You know, here I'm gonna check the contrast, you know, and see what it does to the image. You know, actually, I like this. So, but it's too much. So I will just maybe go 11, 12, and now I'm gonna add actually clarity. You see the clarity? So less clarity, more clarity. Also I'm gonna add globally clarity to this image. So it went from full screen. So it went from this to this. So that was for today. I hope you guys like it, this kind of brief video about the brief. I mean, I didn't plan it so much, but it's still a long video. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Of course, there are plenty of videos about how to edit your images, how to dive in Capture One or Lightroom. Pretty much everything I did is possible to do with any program. Even you can do it with Darktable, that is a free program. I just use Capture One because I think it gives me the best results with the least effort. I know how it behaves somehow. But then for instance, when you're buying presets, you are pretty much buying the style that somebody already created, and usually a preset is not able to hold the image. For instance, one preset cannot handle images taken in different light conditions. So the same preset is not gonna be able to edit a photo taken during sunrise and a photo taken during the mid part of the day. There's no preset that can do that. So for me, the best is just go image by image. Of course, having like a style that already you kind of like a base layer style, but then you need to tweak image by image, I think. I don't go too far. You saw like spend 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes per image, not much more than that. But it's important to know that presets are not the solution. No preset is gonna get you the look you want unless you got it right in camera, and then the editing is just the way to bring it live, but it's not actually what's giving life to the photo. The less editing, I think, the best, and the presets are not gonna do the job. I'm always asked, how come, you know, like can I get your presets and stuff like that? I'm like, I don't have presets. You saw I was working the images without presets. Of course, I have the base profile that gets me Fujifilm, that gets me faster to the look I want. But then I would, if I change to another brand, I would try to get a preset done by myself to get me a starting point. And then from this starting point, I just create my look based on what I saw in the moment. That's it. So I hope you guys enjoy this content. If you like it, please leave a comment down below, a thumbs up, maybe subscribe, and thank you so much for all the support. It's been a great time. My profile got suddenly a lot of followers, and it's been great because I'm starting being able to live out of this passion and travel and actually have a better life, honestly. So I thank you all for following me, for sharing my stuff, and honestly, I cannot thank you enough for all this. So have a good time and see you next time. Cheers.